Hey everybody, welcome back to another great video interview with Gather Veterans. And my special guest today is Kolb. How you doing, Nati?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm going to try it, okay? I'm going to say your full name.
Okay, try it.
Natividad Kolb.
There you go.
Did I get it?
We got a winner.
Ooh, all right. Always good to start on a good foot there, so on the right foot. Well, we are excited to Gather Veterans during this quarantine time. We've been able to really reach out and do some awesome interviews with some great veterans out there. All of you are amazing, by the way. Thank because you raised your hand and you said yes. I admire all of you. I respect you, and just look forward to always getting to hear your guys' stories, and that's what we're doing tonight. So without further ado, I'm going to stop talking and give it over to you, Nati. Just let's begin real quick by just letting everybody know your background, where you grew up, where you were born, how you were raised, things like that, because I'm sure it's a little different than here.
Yes, it sure is, actually. I was born and raised in Dominican Republic, and let's just say it's 180-degree different than it is here, especially at this time as right now. So, yeah.
What would you say is at this time different than what's going on here?
Well, there's a curfew for people to be out and about, and here we do not have a curfew. Mm-hmm. There you will get arrested if you're out past 5 o'clock p.m. So
that's just a little different.
Just a tad. Just a tad.
Yeah, wow. So what was it like growing up in the Dominican Republic?
I honestly love it, and I loved it and I miss it because it was so carefree. My husband, when I first brought my husband to meet my dad in Dominican Republic, he asked me, do people even work here? I was like, yeah, they work, but it's a carefree life. You see people, they go to work, but then they come home, and it's kind of like in Spain, they do siestas. Mm-hmm. So most businesses shut down at noon, and then people come home for lunch, and then they open up again at like 1 or 2. And then people can come home, have lunch, have a shower, spend a little time with the family, and then they go back out to work. So you see that all the time and playing, and it was pretty fun.
So such a stark contrast of upbringing to current living in America, obviously. Nati's story is available right now, actually, in the May-June issue of Gather Veterans. So you can check that out at issue.com. One of the most intriguing parts of your story for me personally is your experience on 9/11. The reason it's extraordinary to me to find out the story and to hear from you personally is because many of us were not there. We have no idea what it was really like. All we have is TV, which was horrific enough, by the way. But we don't know many people actually who were there. I should say, know many people who were actually at ground zero on that day. And that's a huge part of your story and why you actually are a veteran today. So yes. Would you please share with everybody that day and what it made, the impact it made on you?
Well, first I'm going to start with the plans that I had made literally a couple of days before that. There is a group of us, there's 4 of us that would meet up at the ferry to go to our college. I lived in Queens, and my college was College of Staten Island. So we would, there was these 3 people that I had just randomly met one day at career, like orientation day. And we were all coming from Queens. So we met up at the ferry, and it was like, oh, you're going to the same place. So we became really close friends. Actually, I still have my friend Iralda. She is on, I finally found her after so many years on Facebook. And we had made plans to go to the World Trade Center that day because we were all getting out of school early. And there was this thing that people said that you would take a bucket of water to the roof and you could see it sway. And we had made plans to do that date after we got done with class. So I started the day like a normal day on my way to school. And the most impactful thing to me was seeing the planes hit from the ferry. And it was just, I saw the last plane hit from the ferry, and it was shocking. I thought it was just an accident. Like, I was like, oh my gosh, why was the plane flying so low in the city? I'm like, you don't see that. JFK is a ways away from there. So I said, oh my gosh, this is just crazy. And what could have happened? So none of us knew anything because we were all in the ferry. There was TV, but the news hadn't picked up anything yet. And having to continue on to school, get to school, and then start hearing what it was all about. And it was maddening. I was shocked and pissed off and angry as to why that was happening, and not knowing what was going to be next, you know? So that's the main reason I joined the military. So
one of the places I've never visited is New York City. I don't even know why, but I have not been there yet. So where is Staten Island in relation to the World Trade Center?
So Staten Island is a little island off of, on the way to Staten Island, you pass Ellis Island, and that's where the Statue of Liberty is. So Manhattan, the World Trade Center was actually two stops before the last stop on the number 2 or 3 train, which is downtown Manhattan. So you take the train. I had to take the 7 train, the number 2 train, all the way down to the last stop, then to get on the ferry. So just 2 stops from there is the World Trade Center.
Okay, so after you got to Staten Island, then what was that like trying to get back? Because obviously everything just kind of froze.
Everything was immediately, my ferry was the last ferry of the day. There was no in or out of Staten Island. People that commuted from the island from Staten Island to Manhattan Island were just stuck there. So they were either stuck in New York, or they were stuck in Manhattan, or they were stuck in Staten Island. And that was the case for me. I had to stay there until practically the end of the next day, when they finally started letting through vehicles over the bridge, the Verrazano Bridge.
So take us through the timeline after that moment of 9/11. What was your train of thought that day, and then what led you to choose to go into the service?
After finding out what had happened, when I was a kid, I always wanted to join the military. But joining the military in Dominican Republic would have been not a very tasteful thing, especially at that time, especially for a woman to join the military. In my country, there is a lot of machismo, and it's practically not anymore, but it's male dominated. And that's something that our culture is still lagging behind a little. And it wouldn't be a safe place for me to make rank like I did in the Air Force. I went to see a recruiter a couple days later after getting back from Staten Island, and he said, it ended up being my friend. And I was like, I didn't know this was your office. I went to the Marines office because I wanted to join the Marines. And he said, no, you're not. So I said, why not? He's like, well, I'm the only recruiter in town, and you're not going to join the Marines. And I said, why? And he said, I know what's coming, and I don't want you being there. So I said, okay, well, I'll go join the Army. He's like, by the time you get there, they're already going to tell you no. Because he called them and said, don't. So then I joined the Air Force. I didn't join the Navy because I didn't know how to swim. And so I was like, well, I guess the Air Force it is. So I joined the Air Force.
That's pretty awesome. So you joined the Air Force. What was your assignment? What was your, where did you go? All that. Tell us your experience while you're in the Air Force. There you go. How's that question?
I love the Air Force. It's not, I feel sad saying that it was my third choice, but I mean, I got so much out of it. I didn't get the job I wanted, for one, so don't believe that. Because one, I wasn't a citizen yet. So I had just been in the country. By the time I was finally able to enlist, I had been in the country about under 3 years. I had been in the country, so I barely spoke English. I mean, I scored great on the ASVAB, but I wasn't a citizen. I was too short, and I didn't speak a lot of English, and I couldn't get a security clearance. So I joined, and I went in open admin and got supply. So I was logistics, and I wouldn't change a thing. I really loved it. So
what were some of the experiences, maybe some of the most significant moments in your time of service?
Overall, if I had to pick one, was learning different ways of leading. It was mainly shown to me while I was in Afghanistan how not to lead, because there is a big difference between a boss or your supervisor and a leader. And things that I had already made my mind on as I was coming up. I mean, I got out as a staff sergeant. So when I finally was able to deploy and I went to Bagram, I was a senior airman. So I hadn't had the chance to lead per se until then. And I had to put my big girl panties on and take charge, because I had another airman with me. And I had to figure out how to do all the work practically by myself, because my leadership was non-existent. And being able to assure her that everything was going to be okay without being too rough. You know, I grew up with boys. I worked with a lot of men, and she did too, but she was so new. She only had one strike. So she didn't know what to expect. That was her first deployment, and she had only been in a year and a half, 2 years. So being able to teach her the job and teach her the ropes and figuring it out, you know, and how to talk to somebody else other than my boss was eye-opening. And luckily, for my second enlistment, after I got back from that, I signed up again for my last 4 years, and I had some amazing supervisors that I wish I had when I was first starting. So I learned what not to do, and I learned in my first enlistment, I learned what not to do. In my second enlistment, I learned what to do and how to lead people.
So the May-June issue of Gather Veterans is actually celebrating and honoring women in the military. And also like military wives, you know, spouses, yes, military vets. So let's go to that question then. What was it like for you as a woman to serve in leadership in the military?
It could be a little complicated, and even still till this day, I have friends that are chief in the Air Force. I have friends that are first sergeants, and they're all females. And it could still be complicated, because when a man, let's say, yells at you or raises his voice, he's being tough. But when a woman does it, can I say it here, or should I be PC? Okay. I'm just going to say it. So either a man is tough and a girl's a bitch. There's no in between. Why can't she be tough when she's raising her voice? Or why is she crazy? So finding the balance and earning the respect, not just because of the rank, is another thing. So that's what I found that helped me a lot, was showing people that if I'm yelling at you or I'm raising my voice at you, is because I expected something. You said you were going to do it and you didn't do it. And I kept my word. I did what I needed to do when I needed to do it, and went above and beyond. So I expect you to do it. So being able to find, again, balancing, it's a balancing act. It seems like we always have to, especially women, have to walk on this tightrope to not be a bitch and not be a pushover. So it was hard, but I did it. I mean, I have a lot of my military friends I still talk to them, and I miss it every single day. I mean, my husband was still active duty when I got out, and that was another transition for another day. But yeah, so I think that's it. The toughest thing is walking the fine line between being too tough or having I feel like I have a male attitude because of how I grew up. I was the first child for my parents, and I was raised like a dude. I mean, I might look like a girl, but I was raised like a boy. I played softball. I played baseball with boys and men, grown men. When I was like 12 years old, I was playing softball with them. And I have that attitude. And I never want to seem like I'm coming off as being bitchy, but sometimes I guess you have to.
No, I'd like to talk to your husband. No, I'm just teasing.
Well, he's in the other room, so.
I'm just teasing. So do you think there's a little bit of element that is along those lines of, well, she's just trying to make a point that women can lead too. That's why she's being tough right now. You know what I mean? It's kind of like you have to prove yourself to the guys. I wonder if that's a little bit of an element there.
I think so, because I mean, the military is such a male-dominated world, and for women to come in, I mean, there's so many different jobs that women can't do per the AFIs and all of our regulations and things like that, that when given the chance, we do have to prove ourselves. And that's how it should be for everybody. It shouldn't be just because of a rank. If you want to be treated equally, then you need to be able to hold your own. And that's what everybody's finding out, that most women can hold their own, and that we wouldn't be trying to go for a job or to do something if we don't think we can do it. I mean, when you get in the civilian world, when you get a guy applying for a job, let's say there are 15 requirements that you need to be good at. A guy with 3 would apply before a woman with 9 would apply.
Oh, wow.
Because we think, oh man, well, I can't do those 3 things. I'm not going to do it. The guy, he just flies by the seat of his pants and he'll figure it out. So that's one of the things that we do have to battle over, in saying that we are capable. Mm-hmm. And if we don't have all the qualifications, that we can get there. So yeah.
So just by meeting you and hearing you talk, it sounds like you were already a natural born leader anyway. You do have that aura about you. So did that play a part in you becoming where you are today, owning your own business, so to speak, you know? And then what the things that you learned in the military as in the leadership role there, did you take some of that with you where you are today?
Growing up, my dad, before he got married to my mom, he used to sell shoes at a shoe store. And one day, he was number 1 in sales in in that store. And one day his boss said something to him, disrespectful in front of a client. He walked out and never looked back. He had his own grocery store back in Dominican Republic. So I saw him being a business owner. So I grew up with a leader in my family, not just my dad. My uncles owned different businesses as I was growing up. So I grew up in an entrepreneur family. And I never thought that I would be doing that. You know, growing up there, I thought I was going to be an architect. That's what actually I was going to school for in Staten Island. I had a scholarship to become an architect, and I gave that up to join the military. And then I got my bachelor's. I have my associates, my bachelor's, and then I got out. And before I got out, I started Mary Kay, and my mom said, "You're letting your education go to waste." And I said, "I don't care. I didn't pay for it. The military did." But I wanted to be able to provide for my family at my own pace. I wanted to be my own boss. I wanted to lead people. And the military just kind of assured me, like it kind of like cemented in me that I can lead, that I can have my own business. And my dad, he was like, "Go get it, baby. You know, you just be the best at it." And that's what I'm working towards. My dad understands this. My mom doesn't. My mom is very, okay, just go to school, go to work. I mean, it's one way and that's it, you know? And I told her, "Mom, I only got my degrees because of you, because you wanted them. So I got them for you. So here you go." Now I'm leading women, and I'm teaching them about how they can be leaders too. And the military, I mean, I remember I love baseball. So Tommy Lasorda said there's 3 types of baseball players. In this case, I'm going to change it to people. There's 3 types of people: those who make things happen, those who watch things happen, and those who wonder what happened. And I'm not one to just sit and wonder what happened or watch things happen. I wanted to make things happen, and I'm helping provide for my family by owning my own business. And I mean, I owe most of it to the military. My dad and the military are what have grounded me. My maturity level is so different from when I was in to now that I'm out, and I'm proud and confident in who I am. So
9/11 changed a lot of people's lives, and it really changed yours.
Absolutely. I wouldn't be here. If it wasn't for 9/11, I wouldn't be here. Yeah. I don't know if I would have joined the military. I think that was just like the kick to be like, girl, you have to do this. And I did. And I wanted to fight for a country that had given me so much.
So you're currently Mary Kay consultant,
yes.
Or I don't know what you guys call yourselves. I don't know. I don't do a lot of Mary Kay stuff. So.
It's okay. I'm an independent beauty consultant with Mary Kay, and I started it a year before I got out of the Air Force. Okay. So I've owned my own Mary Kay business for 10 years, and I am also a certified makeup artist.
Okay. So now, as soon as Mary Kay comes out with beard care, I'm all there. But
actually, we have some.
Oh, look at you! Look at you. We'll have to check it out. Just don't tell anybody I'm using Mary Kay beard products.
It'll be a little secret.
So this video goes out. No.
Right.
So you've been out of the military for 10 years then?
Yes, actually. On Mother's Day, Mother's Day 10 years ago, I started my terminal leave. So it will be 10 years, June 14th that I got out.
Wow.
Yeah. Oh my God, I can't. I still think about going back.
Really?
Yeah. I'm still young enough to go back if I want to.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
That'd
with 2 kids.
Yeah. How old are your kids?
9 and 5.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So with 2 kids, I mean, they would understand. My oldest, Xavier, he used to call our base every time we would go to the base. He's like, we're going to my base? I'm like, yep, sure, we're going to your base, baby.
That's great. That is great. So as a vet, in your opinion, what are some of the greatest needs out there right now for veterans?
As a veteran, I can tell you. I'm going to pick this one. I know it's a little controversial, but I'm going to pick it anyways. It's the evaluation for pension compensation for our disabled vets. Mm-hmm. The process, I wonder whose idea it was to lay somebody on a bed and tell them to, for example, people with arthritis on their knees, to bend their knees. I'm like, of course, they'll be able to do that. Bend your knee. Yeah, that's fine. It doesn't hurt you because you're not standing on your knees. So I think the evaluation system for the pension compensation is what needs to be addressed as soon as possible, because there are so many vets out there and retirees. I mean, and I'm going to speak from experience with my husband. My husband has lung issues and he got 30%, but he's retiree. So he's not getting both. He just gets a percentage of his retirement check, not taxed. So I think it's just, I'm sorry to say, but I think it's ridiculous that after so many people have given their best years of their lives to not be recognized by what's happened to them in the military and the ailments that they have to jump through so many hoops. And then once they finally get their rating, that every couple of years, they get recalled in to live everything back again to test them. I'm like, who do you think gets better from a chronic pain? Nobody gets better from chronic pain. Nobody gets better from arthritis. Nobody gets better from bulging discs or nodules in their lungs. Why do you have to keep calling them back to make sure that they're still sick, that they still need the compensation that they are owed, you know? So, yeah.
What would you suggest, or what is your thoughts on how that would be fixed, or if it can be, or?
I mean, it could easily be fixed. I feel like if they, instead of just lay on a bed, or I'm going to bend you, or I'm going to bend this for you, because apparently that's what they're doing now. They're actually now able to touch you and bend you. And if you don't say, ow, they won't stop. So I think trying to do the activities, the daily activities that a normal person goes through. I have 2 kids. There was a time where I couldn't pick up my 5-year-old. And when he was younger, there's a time where I had to crawl on my hands and knees to get from one room to another because I couldn't walk straight. And I go to a compensation, my 3rd compensation reevaluation. Nothing's changed, but I get rated lower. So doing the things that we all go through day to day, picking up a bucket of water because you just got done mopping, bending down, and being honest that you go through the pain to go down. But if you actually do it, you get rated less because you did it. So the people that are being honest about their pain is like, okay, I can do this, but it really hurts. That doesn't count. That gets discounted. So I think having those kind of things and be like, yeah, I'm about to do this and I can do it, but it really, really does hurt me. And I would rather not do this if I couldn't. I would rather somebody else do it for me. But you don't have anybody around. So I think doing things like that, like telling somebody, okay, try to do a squat, and you hear their knees creak and crack and pop when they're trying to sit down on a chair. I think that's a better way to evaluate somebody than having them lay on their backs and I'm going to bend you because I think you can bend more. So yeah, that's what I think.
Wow.
Yeah.
So in your opinion, what has changed for the good as far as veterans go?
The ability to go see practically any doctor without needing VA approval. Now, here in Traverse City, we're lucky to have a beautiful, amazing new facility and the ability to get in to see them fairly quickly, but that's not the case in most of the United States. There are so many homeless veterans, and there are so many different programs available out there that they're not aware of. But so many things have changed. That's the main thing that I can think of right now is that if I'm a veteran, I'm service connected, so I could go to a doctor and they will bill the VA without having to, if there wasn't a VA clinic in your town, like you can do that now. So that, I think that's something great that has happened in the last couple of years, actually in the last 2 years. So
that's good. So before we go, if you could just take a second and encourage young girls out there who maybe are thinking of joining the military, maybe they don't know if they want to even join, what would you say to them? What would your message be?
I would say absolutely join. One thing that I would have you keep in mind is that it's not going to be easy. It's not going to be just based on your looks. That we are more than just our looks. We are substance. We have a brain that can adapt to anything, and not to think that you know it all. Don't get your feelings hurt, because many women tend to have feelings, and in the military, feelings don't really exist. So that's the best advice that I can give. It's something that I noticed. I guess I noticed it recently when I was coaching volleyball, that girls have a lot of feelings and they practically don't exist in the military. So let's just leave it at that.
Right. You're like, what do I do? Where's the manual?
Yeah. I mean, it's like, you can't just assume things, and don't take it personal, because they're trying to mold you into being better, into going to a level that you never thought you could be. being in the military has taught me that I could be part of a bigger thing without even realizing it. I didn't realize it until after I was in Afghanistan, and I was like, whoa, my supply job actually matters, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's great. Nati, thank you so much for taking the time today.
Thank you for having me.
Awesome to hear your story. It's very unique. Again, everybody, I'll have a link at the end of this video, but you can check out Nati's story at the latest issue of Gather Veterans, the May-June issue, which is available at issue.com. Just search Gather Veterans. But yeah, thank you so much, and have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your day.
Thank you. You too, Jason.